It's Friday, October 11th. I'm Lorraine, Caceres. We begin with the airstrikes and artillery fire throughout northeast Syria. Turkish officials say its military offensive is going successfully as planned, but the president taking actions to halt the Turkish advance. Claudia Uceda has the details from Washington, D.C. That's right. Turkish officials are saying that more than 300 Kurdish fighters are dead, but these numbers are not independently corroborated. Possible sanctions. President Trump is saying that it could be something very, very tough. Of course, it could be also economic sanctions. Now, back to you. Thank you, Claudia. We'll be following that story. Ambassador to Ukraine. This as the whistleblower now says they want to submit a written statement to Congress instead of testifying in person, and new polls show support for inquiry is growing among independents. Ambassador to the EU, Gordon Sondland, who was blocked from testifying earlier this week by Trump and the State Department, says he will appear before Congress next Wednesday. He is one of many people set to testify in the coming days. And now two men linked to President Trump's personal lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, are under arrest and facing federal charges, accused of funneling foreign money into the U.S. election. Rafael Rodriguez has the latest. Donald Trump said Thursday he doesn't know the two businessmen. To political science professor Charles Zeldin of Nova Southeast. Moving on, the House investigation into President Trump's finances is still alive, even though Deutsche Bank says it does not have the president's tax returns. The House now to the growing fire emergency in California. At least one person is now dead as multiple blazes break out across the state. Fast-moving fires shutting down major highways and triggering tens of thousands of evacuations. Carolina Sarasa has the latest. New images coming from Saddle Ridge Fire. The Saddle Ridge Fire has over half of Northern California residents who had their power shut off were once again back to normal on Thursday night. Pacific Gas and Electric intentionally cut off the power for nearly 800,000 customers Wednesday in an effort to avoid sparking a wildfire caused by high winds downing live power equipment. Despite the good intentions, residents are still frustrated about having no electricity. Luis Mejid has the story. Much more news still ahead. A protest. Former vice president and leading candidate in the 2020 Democratic primary fields addressing LGBTQ issues at a CNN town hall. Biden defending his initial support for Don't Ask, Don't Tell, saying it passed the Senate as part of a larger military appropriations bill in 1993. In town hall, Elizabeth Warren had a clear response after being asked what she would say to someone who believes marriage should be between a man and a woman. Let's listen. 9 Democratic candidates participated in that CNN town hall. And the United Auto Workers strike against General Motors is now in its 4th week, and there's no immediate end in sight. Workers on strike are beginning to get concerned about how long this could last. As Michelle Jurado reports, many are now cutting back to make ends meet. Donations were given out Thursday. Now to protests over the Trump administration's Migrant Protection Protocols program. That policy forces migrants to remain in Mexico while they seek asylum, and it's creating a huge waiting period and no clear answers from the U.S. officials. Migrants in Mexico are protesting the policy, forcing the international bridge to close for almost 15 hours. As Nidia Cavazo tells us, the bridge is now open, but migrants are still waiting. Migrants have been waiting more than 9 months in the migrant camp in Matamoros. Others won't have their next court hearings until 2020. Special court tents have been set up right next to the bridge on the U.S. side to speed up the process, but migrants say they are still not getting any clear answers on their asylum petitions. Still ahead, how an SD... We begin this segment with a close call for an Ohio 5th grader. She was about to exit her school bus when the driver screamed at her to get back inside. A car then flowing past the bus. As Kelia Tejada explains, the whole scene was caught on camera. And on the opposite end of that story in Arizona, a bus driver is in trouble with the law after injuring a child. Mesa Police bizarre discovery in Alaska that helped police solve a grisly crime. An SD card containing videos that show an actual murder led authorities straight to the man accused of committing that crime. Malena Marchan has the story. Now now to Washington, where hikers had a close encounter of the furry kind last weekend. But this wildlife moment was anything but warm and fuzzy because the hikers ran into a bear. Iriti Morungi reports. Up next, new details in an Iranian oil tanker attack, a major recall for Subaru. We'll tell you now to check in with Carolina Sarasa. She has a preview of what's coming up in the next hour of Unews. Carolina, what's new?
Hi, Lorraine. Thank you. And yes, we have a number of major stories coming up today. And today we have new details about the beginning of the Me Too movement. Journalist Ronan Farrow disclosing new allegations against Harvey Weinstein and Matt Lauer. And also, as the cost of living continues to rise in California, we'll take a look at how Hispanic families are being squeezed out. And here's a question for everyone. Do you guys know the dirtiest areas of your home? We'll take a look, and the answers will surprise you. Lorraine, back to you. Can you take a guess?
Oh, I don't know. I'll be thinking about that. Thank you, Caro. Happy Friday, and we'll be watching. And welcome back to Unews. It's a national contest that attracts thousands of submissions from places wanting to shine a light on kindness in their communities. Sabina Alvarez has the story.
For those of you that want to read about the other inspiring stories that were selected, we'll have a full list on our Facebook page at Univision News. And keep in mind that World Kindness Day is coming up November 13th.
So definitely let's mark the calendars and do something nice that day. And to finish the show, Serena, if you can stay with me, we're going to do it with my favorite story this Friday. A camera. Caceres, thank you for watching on this Friday. Please stay tuned for the second hour with Carolina Sarasa. She has much more coming up, and we'll see you next week, Monday, for another first hour of Unews. Have a wonderful weekend.